difficult war with Hamas. Well, let's get more on that news that we've been bringing you all morning about the aid situation, the humanitarian situation there in Gaza. Juliette Touma joins me, who's Director of Communications at the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Juliette, thank you so much for joining us. We've been talking about that statement that UNRWA have released this morning and seeing those pictures of desperate people breaking into some warehouses. What more can you tell us about that?
Yes, very sadly, people are getting frustrated, they're getting hungry. As the siege, the 3-week-long siege continues, as the war continues. So yes, 4 of our warehouses and distribution centers, people came into them and they took wheat flour and some other cleaning supplies.
I know, Juliette, that it's been enormously difficult with the communication blackout that there's been in Gaza, with the phone lines and the internet being down, to find out much information. But does UNRWA have any supplies left? Do you know what your stock levels are like now?
So the communication was finally restored as of this morning. We have some contact with our teams on the ground because the internet service, they're coming back to Gaza. So we have better communication, definitely better than what we had yesterday. We are assessing the situation overall. We also have another warehouse that is one of the largest UN warehouses in this region, but it's too early to know exactly how much supplies do we need because of what happened in the warehouses and the distribution centers yesterday.
Juliette, just as we're talking here, as I'm listening to you, I'm looking on the skyline here. We're looking across to Gaza, and we've just had on the skyline behind me, we could hear, you perhaps heard in the background, the very loud sound of another strike, and we're seeing a huge grey-white cloud of smoke just on the skyline behind me here. Juliette, I know this is particularly difficult for you because your staff, many of your staff, are still working inside there, and I know you've sustained casualties among your staff as well, haven't you?
As of this morning, we are very, very sad at UNRWA to confirm that 59 of our colleagues have been killed in the war in Gaza. Many of them were teachers, school principals, engineers, doctors, specialists, support staff that help us with our huge humanitarian operation. We do know that the bombardments and airstrikes continued. We are terrified for the fate of our teams on the ground in Gaza. They continue to deliver, however, against all odds and with all the challenges. They continue to be out there in the shelters, giving whatever assistance they can to the communities in need, in line with our humanitarian mandate.
And what are you hearing, Juliette, about more humanitarian aid potentially being allowed in? The Israeli military have said several times now, as they encourage people to move south away from the fighting in the north, they say that humanitarian aid will be expanded there, but there still doesn't seem to be any sign at Rafah, certainly, of more trucks going in. What are you being told?
Well, just in 1 week, we only have 80 trucks, 80 trucks, just above 80, right? That's when we say it's a drop in the ocean or it's crumbs, it's not a PR stunt, it's the truth. Because before the war, Gaza used to get 500 trucks every day. So in 1 week, we had just over 80 trucks. Yesterday, because of the breakdown in communications, we did not have a humanitarian convoy. And none of these trucks that have been coming into the Gaza Strip had fuel on them. And the needs for fuel continue to be very, very high.
Juliette, I'm grateful for your time. Thank you so much for joining us here on BBC News. Juliette Touma, who is the Director of Communications at UNRWA, the UN Relief and Works Agency that looks after Palestinian refugees, and as she was saying there, is working particularly hard in Gaza at